Hi, I'm Max Davey. I run the Games for Families channel, but most of the time I work as a developmental paediatrician in South London. I've always been very interested in the importance of play for child development, and as I got into board games, I wondered how these fit in. So I've done a little bit of reading around and thinking, and I asked Tom if I could put some videos up on the channel on this subject, and he graciously agreed. Thank you, Tom. For the first video, I wanted to talk you through what I'm planning to do and make a few general remarks about play and about games specifically. Now, for younger children, the value of play for development is uncontroversial. Indeed, most education is play-based. However, when you get to about 5 or 6, at least in the UK, play is relegated to the spaces between lessons. It's an unstructured thing that happens, has nothing to do with education. It's a break from education. At home, it becomes increasingly digitized, and the question is whether this matters. I think it does, but I think in order to understand why, we need to understand what it is that's important about play in those early years. Actually, the question is what play is useful play. Solitary, repetitive, mechanical play is not nearly as useful as social, imaginative play, which is varied in content. And the key to why this social play is important is a kind of challenge, pushing you from a social point of view, from a cognitive point of view, from an organizational point of view, to develop your skills. And that is a kind of process we call in developmental practice scaffolding, taking from where the child is and slowly developing them on in all of these different areas. Now, the first point, of course, is that a computer can't scaffold, because a computer doesn't know where you are with your developmental skills. And the second point is that, and this is the reason I think why people who have researched the developmental benefits of video games have generally been disappointed, is that video games simply don't give you that social, imaginative, varied play that offline play provides for you. Let me look at the question from another point of view. When I look at all of the research papers I read into in-person therapies, what always strikes me is the difference between the different therapies is always dwarfed by the difference between interacting with a child and not interacting with the child. It seems that there's something about the process of doing a task or an activity with a child with a supportive adult who is scaffolding this child from where they are to where they need to be, which is in itself beneficial. And so it strikes me that that's what we're doing when we're playing a game with a child. This is not an anti-video game video. I enjoy them, and they do have some social aspects, but I do think that tabletop play has inherent developmental advantages over video games, partly because it's a more challenging experience. That may seem funny to some of you, because playing a board game may be as easy as dressing for a lot of you, and maybe for a few of you easier than dressing. But for children, especially those with special needs, there are significant challenges. There are linguistic challenges in understanding all the verbal information. There are social challenges in negotiating this magic circle of gaming that we talk about. There are challenges to attention in terms of game length, periods of waiting. And there are strategic challenges, which of course in a way is kind of the whole point. But my point is that what makes it challenging also makes it worthwhile because of this process of scaffolding. So what does this mean? Firstly, and importantly, if you're getting a child to play a game with you at a table, you are probably doing them some developmental benefit. It doesn't really matter what the game is, it's the fact, this process of engagement, of learning games, of engaging in them and managing the social interactions is itself beneficial. And so my first recommendation is kind of the slogan of my friends, the family gamers, play games with your kids. But I would just add is make sure that you're all having fun. If you're not having fun, you're not helping. Secondly, I think it does help to adapt the play experience to the particular developmental level of who's at play, whether it's in terms of their cognitive level or their attention level or their linguistic level. So I think that's why I'm going to look in some of these videos in detail at some of the areas of need that children might have. So this isn't specifically someone who's got a diagnosis of a particular name. It's to do with where they have perhaps extra needs. So we're going to talk in one video about interaction, we're going to talk about communication, we're going to talk about attention, we're going to talk about planning and dexterity and that sort of thing. And then hopefully we'll have a special episode with Jason Perez, who, as well as being a board game media creator, as I think we're called, is also a child psychotherapist. And thirdly, these aren't just videos for gamers. You may know a parent of a child with particular needs who's struggling for a way to help them. Now, I'm not saying, and this is not medical advice, that board games is the answer, but it may be that you can share these videos with those people and they may get something out of it. And that's why I've called the series Great Games for Amazing Kids, because the kids that I work with who have additional needs really are amazing. So I hope that you will share some of these videos with people who are in this situation. So I'll be back talking about social interaction shortly, but in the meantime, you've been spectacular. I've been Max Davey. I'll see you soon.